Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So in this video here, I want to talk about episode 23. It's finally aired. We've watched it. I actually watched the trailer as well for the very last episode. I'll do a video on that right after this. But yeah, episode 23, the penultimate episode here of The Walking Dead. Did it deliver to a lot of the hype and the excitement? Well, we'll talk about that in this video. So obviously, before we go any further, please be aware that this video will contain spoilers for The Walking Dead Season 11, Episode 23. And also make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. And if you haven't followed me on Twitch yet, definitely go do so. I'm likely going to be doing a live stream later on talking about the episode, so I hope to see you guys there. I actually really want to do a live stream for the final episode so I can watch the episode on there for the first time with everybody. So yeah, I really want to get on that. I'm just waiting for my cough to go away because yeah, it's been pretty frustrating, but I got 2 weeks until then, right? So anyways, yeah, definitely go follow me on Twitch. The channel name is Appetite for the Dead. The link should be in the description, but let's actually talk about episode 23. So Judith had a very big episode, I think, in this one here. I think this episode was titled Family, and I think it really celebrated the fact that Judith has this new family now. And I think that this episode was overall pretty phenomenal. I definitely have some issues still. I still have some issues. Like, I think the pacing for the story that we're getting right now is actually really remarkable. And I tweeted about it. I said the pacing overall for these episodes, it is really crazy how well paced it is, because it really feels like we're with our characters for the appropriate amount of time as they're traveling from community to community. And we're really, touching base on like everyone. Like, we're learning about what this character is feeling, how this character is feeling. Now, the issue though, that's basically the thing I think, we're so used to The Walking Dead's very slow pacing where like nothing happens for 3 or 4 episodes and all of a sudden something big happens, right? And so for every episode now to have like something constantly happening, from them to go to this place, to this place, to this place, again, I think it works really well. I think they actually, they handle the pacing for what they have to do here in terms of how much story they have to tell. I think they're actually doing a very great job at it. It's just, I wish that we would have had the Commonwealth arc for all 24 episodes. I know technically we did a little bit, but that Reaper arc took up so much and really did not matter. And I think now that we're only at 1 episode left, I mean, we can really see it here, right? Like, it's been fun. Every episode's been great, but it's like, it could have been that much more. And it's because of the Reaper arc. It really took away here. But again, I still really like the episode here. I think Judith, the opening monologue for her, it was really crazy. She actually mentions Lori. She mentions her mom, Lori, literally just says that. And then she says her mom, Michonne. And I just really like that. I like the fact that it's acknowledged like that. Like, they're both her mom. Like, it shouldn't be that much more complex than that. Because it's just, that's the way it was. It's horrible that Lori can't be here, right? It's honestly, it sucks. It really sucks that Lori can't be here to see Judith at this age. And just to, but Michonne was there the entire time and formed a really amazing bond. They both deserve that title. And I really like the fact that this episode focused on celebrating the Grimes legacy here. Although I will say there was no mention of Shane, which is just like, I mean, it's okay. We don't have to talk about that, right? If Rick wants to talk about that one day, then he'll bring it up at some point, right? But yeah, I thought it was just really amazing. And I want to do a video on sort of recapping every single intro that Judith has done so far, because she's basically had every intro. There's sort of a dialogue that's said every single time the episode begins, right? And I really like how this one worked here, because it was Judith, and Judith said that little did they know that this day would be the day that changed forever, right? Or like, it would actually change everything forever. And it's pretty remarkable, but it's true. If you go based off of the comic, after they actually defeat Pamela Milton and they handle all of this here, things are relatively peaceful for a very long time. I know there's going to be some Civic Republic stuff. There's all of that. But for the most part, for most of our people, for Judith and for everyone else, honestly, they live a very normal, happy life at the Commonwealth for years to come. In the beginning of this episode, we do see Daryl take Judith, and I originally, I was like, this is a really dumb decision. Like, this really makes no sense considering what happens at the end. But I think that's why they brought her, was because of that. But you also got to remember that they brought Carl around everywhere, and Judith, for the most part, hasn't been with them. Like, Judith has literally just been kept at Alexandria or the Commonwealth. So I like the fact that, in this one here, they're like, yeah, you know what? You can come with us. Like, we trust you. And she wants to, she's thinking about what comes after, which is like amazing. But just that reference right there, that's a reference to Rick's final episode, what comes after. And Judith really embodied that here. Like, she's so much like her dad here in this episode. I do want to say though, I do have a little bit of a complaint about RJ. I don't know if it's because of the actor and he's not that great of an actor, but like, he doesn't ever have dialogue, and it's kind of frustrating. I don't know why they don't give him dialogue. Like, he just kind of stands there. Like, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know why they don't give him dialogue at all. I think that's one of the things that is just been so frustrating because it's like they'll have some scenes of him here and there, but like, you know, for big moments like this, he just kind of stands there. And I'm like, he's literally Rick and Michonne's son. Like, give him some dialogue, give him an awesome scene here. But no, he just kind of stands there. I think they're not using that character to his potential. Like, he can be a really great character, especially if they ever do like a Walking Dead Next Generation thing where those characters are like 30, 40 years old. Like, RJ is going to be a really amazing character. They actually decide to take the train in the episode. They take the train to the Commonwealth, and I'm really happy with this because I don't know if you guys remember, I mentioned in episode 20 or 21 that, you know, we saw the train, but I want them to take the train and actually use it, right? And so they actually do use it in this episode. They take it to the Commonwealth, so I'm really happy with that. Pamela Milton did mention something here, and I've been getting a lot of questions about this all morning, and that is about Plan B-17 or whatever. And obviously, a lot of people are going to think that that's probably Civic Republic related, but I don't know about that. You know, I could see it being the case, but I think based off of what happened in this episode, because she said that earlier in the episode, and then later on, we saw her actual plan with allowing the zombies to, you know, go to the Commonwealth and then basically attack certain neighborhoods, right? I think that was the plan because I think she's done this in the past. Like, they actually mentioned that she's actually done this before. So I think that's what B-17 is in reference to. I mean, we'll find out obviously, but that's sort of my assumption right now. Ezekiel and Negan actually had a really great talk, and I like the fact that Negan said what he said, which was basically, I know that you guys are better than me. And just the way the whole scene played out with all this stuff with Ezekiel calling Negan out too, I'm very happy with this. I think for the most part, everyone likes Negan. Everyone's forgiven him. I think that it's really amazing to see how far that character has come. And honestly, like, people were so worried about redeeming that character a couple of years ago. Like, it's taken a while. It's taken a while, right? Like, what he did to Glenn and Abraham was like literally horrific. It was horrible. And to this day, he's literally still apologizing for it. So I thought that scene was great there. Ezekiel, you know, he doesn't really say that he forgives him, but he understands him, and Maggie's also listening into at the same time. Like, I think they get him now. They understand that, you know, like, he is actually a pretty good person. He's a good person. Like, he messed, you know, their lives up quite a bit, but everyone makes mistakes, and it's just complex because they have to be the ones to let it go. He wants a better life for them, and they totally understand it. I thought it was such a great scene. There was a lot of mentions in this episode of Michonne, Rick, and Carl. You know, Judith says that she hasn't heard from her mom in a while. I thought that was really interesting. I thought they were going to go somewhere with that. I still think they potentially could here, especially when you consider what happened with Judith at the end. And we'll talk about that right away. I want to get into some of that, but I'm really curious on like what's actually going to happen here. But I love the mention of Carl. You know, I like the fact that she talked about, you know, I miss him and I wish that he was still around. And it was just, again, these moments got me so emotional because we haven't heard a lot from these characters in a long time. And honestly, the Grimes family really is the heart and soul of The Walking Dead. It really is. It's the inspiration that they brought. And it's because of Rick in the very beginning and just the journey that he was on and what he taught Carl, what Carl did for everybody. Like, you look at that in the legacy of that family. It was just such a great scene. And I like the fact that Judith was like, I don't even know a lot of stories from them, or I can't even remember a lot. And Daryl and Carol were like, yeah, you know what? Like, we'll tell you a lot. Once all this is over, we're going to tell you everything. Man, that made me so happy. That made me so happy. I've always wanted that. I've wanted them to just like sit down and be like, this is what we know about your dad. This is what we know about your brother. This is what we know about, you know, your mom, Lori. This is what we know about when we first met, you know, your mom, Michonne. And I just want to know a lot more there. Obviously, we're probably not going to see a lot of it, but like, man, I want to see those scenes where our characters tell Judith everything. Because the thing is, Judith really is sort of, again, kind of the soul of The Walking Dead. She's been there since season 3. Lori was pregnant in season 2. She's really the legacy of that story. She's been around for a very long time now. I think this episode was honestly perfect in celebrating that. Now, speaking of some other stuff that was happening in the episode, obviously we saw Eugene escape. Mercer actually helped him. Like, Mercer, he had to deal with that swarm, and Pamela Milton, I'm so confused by a lot of these things here. Like, the Commonwealth soldiers are leading the walkers to that area, but we knew that was happening already based off of last week's episode. But Pamela Milton actually seemed shocked in this episode that they were arriving. So I'm a little confused on what's actually happening here. I don't know if Pamela knows what was happening, if that's what Plan B-17 was, and if there was just sort of an issue with, you know, the timeline here. But I thought that was really weird. I found that really strange. And I like the fact that Mercer, you know, being on our side, it just made so much sense. Although I hate the fact that he got arrested at the end. That really bugs me because I really wanted the character to play a bigger role in a lot of this here. And I feel like in episode 24, they're just going to break him out or something like that, and that'll be it. I'm hoping he plays a big role in like that final battle or something, but I have a feeling right now that he might not. So yeah, we're going to have to wait and see on that. But yeah, just a really, really awesome episode here from Mercer. They do get into the Commonwealth through Union Station. We have this really big, epic battle there. I thought all of that was a lot of fun. Judith gets shot, obviously, by Pamela Milton, which I thought was kind of crazy to make her do that. I am wondering if they're doing that as like setup because, you know, Pamela maybe right now is feeling very horrible about that. They could introduce that in 24, that she's feeling very horrible about the fact that she did that. And so maybe, you know, in the comic, Rick gave this final speech. Maybe it's actually Judith who gives like this final speech sort of thing. And that really persuades Pamela to stop fighting, right? I could see that being the case here. I'm trying to see where this is going to go. And I could see that playing out like that. But before we talk about the end, I do want to get into some of the other stuff with Jerry and Aaron and all that. Not a lot happened there. It was just, you know, basically more of the same. They're trying to escape. Lydia almost died, but I guess she's going to be fine. Her arm's cut off now, just like Aaron. So that's kind of cool. I like the fact that they actually did something like that. Jerry, I mean, he said, see you on the other side. So I'm like, are you dead? I mean, the thing is with this episode is they left a lot of things on cliffhangers. Like I talked about in my trailer breakdown and a lot of videos throughout the week. Like I thought there was going to be a lot of deaths here for episode 23 and there wasn't at all. But I mean, they obviously held off on a lot of stuff, right? Like a lot of the scenes that we thought were going to happen with Rosita seems like they're actually happening here in 24. So I think Rosita is going to be a pretty big death here at the very end. I think she's probably going to die within the first half an hour. But we'll talk about that more in my trailer breakdown. Let's actually focus on the last stuff here. So yeah, like I said, Judith got shot and basically everyone at this point sort of freaks out. Daryl's like, okay, we need to help her. We need to find a clinic or a hospital or whatever. And he's running out there. This is where I think Pamela's plan of, you know, B-17 is actually going to take place here, which is basically block off the area of, I guess, the poorer areas and all the rich people get to be fine, but the poor people don't get to. I mean, yeah, pretty messed up. The music in this moment, everything was just so emotional. It really felt like they were all trying to fight to keep Judith alive, and it was just, I just loved it. Honestly, this is where I felt very emotional about the whole entire thing here. And, you know, Judith saying daddy or whatever to Daryl, like that right there, that was crazy because Judith is kind of like, she's obviously hurt, she's like knocked out or whatever, and she looks up and she thinks she sees her dad. Like, to me, there was so much mention here to Rick. Like, I know Rick's coming back next week, or not next week, but in 2 weeks. Like, it might not be obviously in the story here. It's likely going to be a post-credit scene, but there's a lot here. Like, there's so much here. I'm just, oh man, I can't believe how good this episode was. Honestly, like, I've watched it 2 times now. I'm probably going to watch it a 3rd time. But yeah, I'm going to leave it here. I mean, there's a lot to talk about with this episode. I'll talk about it a lot throughout the next week. We have 2 weeks to go until the last one, so I'm going to do a lot of videos on this episode, and obviously on the very last one here. So yeah, definitely post your thoughts down below. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.